Today's critique is going to be on the book Jazz and Palm Wine. It's a collection of short stories by Emmanuel Dongala, and particularly one of his stories named A Day in the Life of Augustine Amaya. So before I get to the book itself, I get to this collection of short stories and I talk a little about the author. I just want to give a fracture of the history of Congo, because Emmanuel Dongala is from Republic of Congo. So just wanted to give a fracture of the history of Republic of Congo. So as you guys know, before the colonialism began in about early 1800, the before the country of Republic of Congo or Congo Zaire, there was a region in Africa called run by Empire of Congo or Kingdom of Congo. People of that region near to the Congo River, they were mainly Bantu-speaking people from the Bantu tribe, and Empire of Congo by itself was like a kingdom, and they have their own subjects and their kingdom, their own way of running their society. And the Empire of Congo or Kingdom of Congo was one of the major powers in Africa pre-colonialism. So as you guys know, Belgium and France, along with the other imperialist power, they invaded Africa for the purpose of slavery and colonialism. We are more especially colonialism here we are talking about. So Belgium colonized a part of Empire of Congo, and which is known by Congo Zaire, and France took another part of Empire of Congo, which is known today by Republic of Congo. So they did, Belgium and France, they did their own exploitation of the land of the people, which the history is there. If you have time, you can check it out. But this story, what I'm gonna share with you about this story of the day in the life of Augustine Amaya, is about the post-colonialist era. So as you guys know, the Western way of doing things, right? The imperialist countries' way of doing things is divide and conquer. So after the countries got independent from this imperialist power in the mid 1960s, the region was divided by two parts. The one region in that part of the world in Africa that was once a great kingdom and empire, now it's divided after these imperialist powers have left. So again, the concept of divide and conquer. So right after their independence, the turmoil began and civil war began, basically from 1960s and mainly in late 1990s, and the civil war ended in beginning of the 2000s. So this story, A Day in the Life of Augustine Amaya, is basically about post-colonial, post-civil war era, and it happens in this era. The author of Jazz and Palm Wine, Emmanuel Dongala, he's a Congolese author, and keep in mind that he's not only a person of literature, he's a scientist as well. He's a chemist, and he teaches right now he teaches chemistry in some colleges and universities in the USA. So what I'm trying to say is that the collection of short stories Jazz and Palm Wine has to be read from scientific literature point of view. Basically, the stories are kind of sci-fi fictions in my idea. Like though, like the theme is civil war and the people of Congo, but it has element of science into it as well. So yeah, so the story, a day in the life of Augustine Amaya. It's a story from the collection of Jazz and Palm Wine by Emmanuel Dongala. It's the story of a woman. I choose the story because the protagonist is a woman, and she's a mother of 5 children. She's a hard worker, market woman. She works very hard, but she's caught in ridiculous bureaucracy of post-colonial corrupted government of Congo at the time. I believe this story is taking the story is happening in the late 1990s, and the our protagonist basically is caught in like ridiculous regulations set by the post-colonial government. And so I don't want to go into the details about this story, because this story, it's a short story. It will take you an hour or two to read it, so I just don't want to like ruin the story. So this the story is basically about a paradox of a woman who is vulnerable, who is a hardworking mother, who is a market woman, and the other side of a paradox is a ridiculous system that has ridiculous amount of regulation and bureaucracy, and as a result of post-colonial corrupted government as a collective. As you guys know, women and children are the most vulnerable members of the society in African countries today, and the game of cat and mouse that is being played by the corrupted government has no other victim other than Augustine, which is a vulnerable woman, and her children. So please check out this story. This story is it's amazing. It has moments of teaching moments into it. You learn a lot. You identify with the struggles of the protagonist and the antagonist here, which is the government. It's like in the story the government have put like ridiculous kind of regulation, and they have divided a region divided a region of a market overnight, and the woman, the vulnerable protagonist here, is caught in the middle, and she has to act like a member of government to prove herself in order to go about her daily life and struggle. So Emmanuel Dongala did a great job in terms of portraying what women and children, the most vulnerable members of society, are going through because of the corrupted government, and eventually because of the results made by the imperialist countries' exploitation of Africa. So I really recommend anyone to read the book Jazz and Palm Wine, more especially this story. Thank you so much.